Hi, I'm Janie. I'm one of the Shout Out Loud Young Producers, and I'm going to be interviewing Penny.
Hi, I'm Penny. I'm Senior Creative Programme Manager at English Heritage.
Creative Program Manager sounds like a very broad job title. Would you be able to give us a general definition of what it means for you and your work?
My role is, I guess, fairly new to the organisation, and I head up the creative programme, which as a term, even creative programme is quite broad. So it's an opportunity really for us at English Heritage to commission artists and artists of many different guises. They could be theatre-based, dancers, performers, sculptors, fine artists. So it's kind of think of creative programming as a whole, and commission them specifically for our sites or bring in their work onto our sites and produce projects with them, and really just draw inspiration from our iconic sites, kind of, I guess, bringing England's story to our audiences more imaginatively than maybe we have done previously.
Is there a particular part of your job that you like the most?
Oh, I love looking at the responses to the artist briefs. So the proposals that come in are brilliant, crazy, wonderful, exciting, and you don't know what is going to come in, which is even more fantastic. I love the question when kind of someone says to me, either internally or externally, is like, what's it going to be, or what are you going to commission? And I said, I don't know yet. We'll find out when they've done it. And I love that kind of that unknown. There's a risk there, but it's a really exciting creative risk.
With that in mind, is there a project at the moment that you've kind of helped create that is your favourite?
No favourites as such, but it'd be great to talk about two. If you'll let me, can I talk about two of them?
Yes, please.
Please. So one is we're very much part of the Hadrian's Wall 1900 festival, which is Hadrian's Wall, has been built for 1900 years. So really quite an amazingly long period of time. It's a partnership festival, year long. And it's wall wide. So it's from Newcastle all the way through to Carlisle. And partners, hundreds of partners are working on this festival together. And that's been really exciting. So I'm commissioning a fantastic artist called Morag Myerskoff. And she's going to recreate, hopefully, this is planning dependent, the North Gate on Housesteads on Hadrian's Wall. And it's going to be multicoloured, kind of large-scale commission, which has been made with the community. So it's going to be a response to the history of the sites, the names that are on the wall, the icons that are on the walls, looking at the artefacts in Chester's Museum. It's going to be a real kind of response to the wall, but in a contemporary manner. And also bringing it up to the present day, looking at kind of the, boundaries, conversations of boundaries and barriers and borders, and that kind of comes into our kind of contemporary conversations as well. So I'm really excited about that, but also slightly terrified about it. Are we going to be able to do it? I really hope we are. I think it'd be fantastic for the festival and for us. And it will be my first project in this role. So it kind of sets a precedent to some extent as well.
That sounds so exciting. Oh, I hope it goes well.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, I've realised, and I did say two, didn't I? Sorry. So I recognised when I came into post last year, 2021, that we were, as an organisation, kind of working with poets. And working a lot with poetry as a form of creativity, and I kind of thought, okay, we need to really pick up on this and potentially do more on it. So let's see if there's an opportunity here to kind of introduce the first English Heritage Poetry Fellow. So we are. So from this year, he's hoping to start in the next month or so once the contract's in place. So Jacob will be kind of working with us again in a different guise. Just very much responding to sites and being him.
That sounds brilliant. I'm going to get a little bit into kind of the past of your career, if you don't mind.
Cool.
Have you always seen yourself or kind of planned to work in this kind of job?
Maybe not seen myself working in it, but I always knew I'd want to work in, or not always knew, from university, I knew I wanted to work in the arts and work with artists.
Did that kind of interest in arts and culture begin with your time at university, or have there been things kind of earlier on in life that might have influenced that interest?
I could talk about my nan, who was a watercolour painter and used to teach me watercolour when I was about 10 before she died, when I was 15. So that was, I mean, she loved art, as did my grandfather, and my step grandmother as well on the other side, also loved art. So that, I guess, was embedded in me to some extent. My uncle was a musician as well. So I knew I was quite good at art. So I did A-level art. And during my A-levels, there was a part of the course, you had to do art history. So it's kind of like find an artist you are inspired by and write an essay on it. And, you know, I can't even remember, it was very long ago. But and that was like, oh, I didn't know this. What's this art history thing that we had to do? And again, I was kind of like really interested in that the historical side to production and creativity. So I did my degree in art history, and I did a master's in gallery studies in an art history department as well. So I guess, yeah, from age, well, 10, I guess, from my grandmother, but actually up until from A-levels, really, really kind of thought, yeah, I know the area I want to go into, even if I didn't know the job itself. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's sounding really familiar, actually. Yeah.
First degree, I ended up, maybe you're in the similar position as well, of meeting curators through talks and conferences we did, and again site visits as well. When you know went to a gallery, you met the curator there as part of the course, and I was like, oh, this is a job called curator. What is this? So again, and that's why I became a curator when I left university as well. So yeah.
Well, that brings us quite neatly on to my next question. Could you maybe give us a bit of a career timeline?
So after doing my master's, then I did a postgrad as well. I did quite a lot of voluntary work in London. Luckily, my partner at the time decided to get a job in London straight after our university time. So I just thought I'll just move with him and get a job in a gallery. So I was an intern, and then I got a job from that. So they offered me employment after the 6 months, which was nice. And then having done that, an opportunity came up in Exeter, Royal Albert Memorial Museum in Exeter, as assistant curator of art. So I applied and got that job. I was there actually in the end for about 7 years. But whilst there, I applied for another job at Norwich Castle Museum and Art Gallery, which I got the job, but as a kind of interim, kind of secondment, kind of negotiated. So I was released, I guess, from Exeter to go to Norwich Castle for a year as curator of modern contemporary art, and then got back from there and then back to Exeter again, and I was then offered the job of curator of exhibitions at Exeter. But as part of my work in Exeter, I was part of the redevelopment of the museum, had a massive kind of HLF redevelopment programme. I commissioned a lot of artists there for the site in response to the collections. So that's where actually, and then obviously being modern contemporary curator at Norwich Castle, again, historic building, that's where that, I guess, that interest in historic versus contemporary artists responding to collections came from. And then after I became curator of exhibitions at Exeter, a job came up at an art gallery called Compton Verney Art Gallery and Park, which is in Warwickshire, and I got the job of curator there, and I was there for 10 years, and became senior curator eventually. And Compton Verney is a capability brand landscape, Robert Adam Hall Bridge. You know, it was a historic building, historic site, and commissioning happening in the grounds and the house. And I was responsible for the exhibitions programme as well. So commissioned artists, again, responding to historic contemporary collections and themes within the exhibitions. So I learned a lot there. Whilst there, I applied for the CLAW Fellowship programme. So in 2013-14, I became a CLAW 10 fellow. I got the role, I got the fellowship. It's not a job as such, but we were, it's an opportunity to have a year off from your actual job to learn how to be a leader in the arts. So really, and you had an amazing cohort of artists, curators, theatre producers, a real mix of amazing people. At that point needed a bit of a change. So 3 years later, so it took a while, but 3 years later, I really realised I needed a change. And then this role came up at English Heritage. So, and that was last year. I applied and I got it. So yeah, I've also been a freelancer as well, and I've taught a lot in London, Sotheby's Institute I've taught at, and I freelance curate as well.
Is there anything that you're currently working towards? Well, as you said, quite a lot of your projects are quite long in their kind of creative stages. But is there anything that you're kind of aspirationally aiming for in the position at the moment?
I think for the organisation, I'm aiming for things. I'm actually, within my strategy, I have put, actually I'll read it, I've got it here, to spearhead the artistic explorations of culture and heritage and establish English Heritage as a competitor in creative commissioning in the sector by 2025. Now, I might extend that to 2027 because actually 2025 is only 3 years time. But it's kind of, I guess, I want us to be a competitor in doing this in the sector. The National Trust do it brilliantly and have done it brilliantly, and as had other organisations, and as have we. We have English Heritage have done it brilliantly. So I hope to really kind of push us a bit further and get us maybe a bit more on the map.
Right. So I think this next one's going to be the last one.
Okay.
So I will try and make it a good ending one. Do you have any advice for someone who's maybe, say, just finishing their A-levels and starting to think about what they want to do as a career?
Oh gosh, follow your heart. I did. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be what you're passionate about there and then either, because sometimes that does change at 16 or 18 or something. So, but you know, if you know, like I was saying, your grandmother also was creative, and if you know there's creativity in the family and you want to do something creative, even if it's not specific about what you want to do, look at kind of options on what could that be. I'd say it's probably doing your degree. You probably have, that's where you can kind of take your life a little bit further, and you can kind of go, okay, this really kind of sets down kind of what I might want to be, what's next, and then that's when you can kind of discover, as I said, careers like being a curator, like I was, or kind of what options are out there. And I would just say, just talk to people like me in the roles I'm in. You know, really explore who's out there, what are people doing, what people are doing that you hadn't realised they were doing, and just really, really be open to what you could be. And if it's not right at that time, you can change it anyway. So there's lots of opportunities, I would say. I'd also just say one tip, and this is probably not related to your question, but I think it certainly helped me in progressing my career, which is, and it sounds horrible, but if you can take opportunities such as apprenticeships, I mean, you're doing Shout Out Loud, which is absolutely fantastic, and Kickstart, and I know that's finished now, but those kind of schemes. I was an intern, I worked for free for 6 months, but I also was volunteering at another gallery, and those kind of opportunities like kind of set you kind of they give you opportunities really to kind of stand you in good stead, I would say, to find the way forward in your career. So yeah.
Thank you.
That makes sense.
Really helpful advice. Right. Wow. Thank you very much for answering my questions, Penny, and thank you very much for watching, and join us for some more episodes soon.
You're welcome, Janie, and lovely to speak to you.